Please welcome one of the greatest actors of this or any other generation, Mr. Denis O'Hare. Thank you.
Hey, y'all. Hi.
How are you? Oh, you want to sit on each one and like make your way down? No, right here. Right here. Yeah. Close as possible. Yeah. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much.
Nice.
We have to be back at 2?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll wrap this up real quick. We'll be like 10 minutes, then we're out.
How are you guys?
Okay. Yeah.
You're nice and spread out. I like that. I have to find you. That's good. That's
and
good.
we had a microphone set up for questions, but we're all so close and happy that we can just ask. What? They still need to use a mic, even though we're right here and right in front of Denis? Okay. You heard the governor.
The governor said it.
Yeah. We have to use a microphone.
Oh, my God.
Everything you're saying is being recorded, just so you know. Okay.
How are you all today? Use the microphone.
Yes, if you have a question. Before that, though, I wanted to get to know you first, and then we'll turn it over to these guys. First of all, how's your weekend been?
Good. It's been very, very good. I get up really early in the morning, so I know Atlanta before the sun gets up. I'm out there walking around.
Speaking of the sun, you're probably best known, or not best known, but you were introduced to me and most of America as the vampire King Russell Edgington. And yeah, we still got True Blood fans out there. I'm going to tell you this quick story before I turn it over to you, and I'll get to you in a second. But I did your monologue, your vampire monologue. Remember when he broke into the TV and ripped? And I did that monologue for a play I was auditioning for. Yeah, and I did the whole
part.
No, I was going for Elwood Dowd and Harvey, so no, I didn't.
Maybe not the best choice.
I didn't get the part, but I studied that monologue, and I did because you inspired me so much, and was just I had to do the what do you think I do, or where we are. So I had to get your Southern drawl down. When you were first presented that part, because you're coming in, True Blood had just started, and we didn't know the cultural phenomenon it was going to become. When you first read that part, was that the Southern thing, your part? How much of it was you, and how much did you?
Well, it's funny, that I got that part. Can I get rid of this?
Take it out. Yeah,
I got that part kind of out of the blue because I watched True Blood. A friend of mine named Don had bootlegged some VHS copies. Remember VHS copies?
Yeah.
And so we watched the first season of VHS, and I was like, the first couple of episodes, I was like, is this porn? What am I watching? Like, what is this show? And then I got into it because of the opening credits.
Yes.
I was like, these opening credits bother me. They scare me. What are they? Yeah.
The Chris Isaac music alone scared me.
Crazy. Yeah. And the music was great. And then I got into the show and loved the show. But I had no intention of being on it, and I had no idea to be on it. I didn't ask to be on it. And they called me up, and they were like, do you want to play the Vampire King of Mississippi? And I was like, yes, sure. And it had already been kind of popular, I think, by the time I showed up. But the funny thing was that you get a script like that, and we usually get one script, maybe you get two, but they come slowly. You don't get them all at once, so you don't know where you're heading. And I read the books, and the books didn't really have enough Russell for me to grab, and who he was in the books was a little different than what I ended up doing. So it is sort of my interpretation. Right. And then the guy who played Talbot, who is very Greek, from Greece, he was meant to be English, that character. He's supposed to be Talbot, I'm Talbot, I'm Russell Edgington's lover. And he came in, he was like, no, he's Greek. He's going to be Greek. And Theodore came in, and he just did this amazing audition. And they were like, okay, he's Greek. And so we went out for a long walk, 2 long walks in Runyon Canyon in LA to try to figure out our backstory. Because when you do a TV show, they don't always write that stuff. Yeah. And so I do a lot of my own creation of backstory. And so I figured out who he was and where he was from. And then Theo and I figured out where we met, which we decided that he was dressed as Alexander the Great, and I was dressed as Julius Caesar. And we met at a costume ball in 1342 in Budapest. And so we decided that's where we met, and fell in love, and then killed a bunch of people, and funny enough, once we established all that, Theo and I, then we go into the table read, which is the first read where you meet all the other actors, and it's nerve-making. It's nervous-making, you know. I mean, there's a lot of great people. There's Stephen Moyer and Alex Skarsgård and, you know, Anna Paquin and Sam Trammell and Carrie Preston and Nelson.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the great Nelson. And, you know, so you're just kind of nervous. And I wasn't that great. I sort of like flubbed it, and sort of like none of my jokes landed, and I was kind of nervous. And Talbot killed. I mean, Theo, he just absolutely killed. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to fire me. This guy's going to be like, you know, he'll get my part. But, you know, then we started shooting and things changed. It's a weird world. And then later, when HBO was producing the sort of like documentation to go with the shows for DVDs, they emailed me and said, can we please have the backstories? So I sent them all my backstories I had written, which became the official lore for the character. So the writers write, but they write for us.
Right.
And they kind of write with what we've done in mind. And I don't have that much input directly. Like, I would never say to somebody, he should say this.
Right.
But they kind of know what I can do. And Alex, who wrote the great monologue for The Spine, he's a playwright. He's a great playwright. And he wrote that for me.
Wow.
And I got that about 3 weeks before we shot it and memorized it like instantaneously and just worked on it and worked on it and worked on it and worked on it. 'Cause I wanted it to be just so fluid and so easy.
That it was. Yep. It's still one of the great monologues in TV history.
It's a great monologue.
It is a great monologue. When you coming off of True Blood, and when America got to see you, now people on Broadway already knew you, obviously, from
Take Me Out, Sweet Charity, Cabaret,
yeah, and
Assassins.
You won the Tony for Take
Me Out. Yeah.
Yes. But since I don't go to Broadway, I watch lots and lots and lots of television. So after True Blood, did that inform everyone else? Well, if he can do that, and as Russell on True Blood, let's keep him in that genre of horror and throw as many weird characters as we can at him. Because now, was that your stuff from True Blood that translates into American Horror Story? Was that an easy transition for you?
You know, you never know why you get work. But and here's the funny thing. Ryan Murphy, I think, became aware of me because he saw Take Me Out on Broadway.
Okay.
So it wasn't because of True Blood. It was because he came and saw a play. And a lot of times what happens is somebody will see you in something and you're in the back of their mind. And it may not be next year or the year after or even 3 years later. But at some point, a part's going to come up and they're going to kind of go, I want that person.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened with me with that. I think he had seen me, I was in the back of his mind, and then he is making this pilot for American Horror Story, and he had a character would have his face burned off. Who will I find? Dennis, he'll do it. And yeah, so I said yes immediately.
Well, and so, yeah, because if American Horror Story fans, we have any American Horror Story fans here? Yeah. So you remember the first season, half his face is burned, and he's walking with a limp, kind of like a Quasimodo. But then after that, the next time I see you're in Carnival, you're in Freak Show, and you got the
nice mustache and a tie.
Great mustache, and you're killing people. And then Hotel comes around, because everything you've done, every time you're on American Horror Story, I cannot wait to see you. And everyone can't wait to see what Denis O'Hare is going to look like next, what he's going to sound like, how you're going to be dressed and everything. And you come out in Hotel, and like I say, I'm always going to know you as Liz Taylor. Yeah. And rest in soul, the great Elizabeth Taylor, but to me, you're always going to be Liz Taylor.
I love it.
When you're presented with these every season, first of all, we don't know if you're coming back.
Right.
And with every season, but when you do, that is like, does the character come first, or is it written first, or do the Ryan Murphy write it, and then, this has got to be Denis?
I think they get ideas of what the story's going to be, and then they get general ideas of who the characters are, and then I think it becomes apparent who they want to play certain characters,
Okay.
For that one, it was completely out of the blue. I just got an email from Ryan saying he wanted me to play, and all he said was, you're going to play Liz Taylor. She's got a Cleopatra eye. She's shaved head, gorgeous. That was it. That's the character description. I was like, all right. You know what I mean? And then you go into a costume fitting, and that's a big part of finding a character. Because I would say I'm a hair and shoe actor. If I got the hair and the shoe, I know who it is. And with Liz, it was hair, shoe, and nails. And but the costume doesn't form you, and you work with a costume designer, and they pick things out, and you try it on. And you kind of go, I don't think this is who we are. I don't think this is the character. I'd say the hardest character to find costume-wise was Spaulding. Who's one of my favorite characters, because we wanted to stay away from Riff Raff from Rocky Horror.
Right.
And Spaulding had long hair, and he's wearing a tuxedo, and that's Riff Raff.
Right.
So how can he not be Riff Raff? You know what I mean? So we worked long and hard to try to figure out who he was, and I wasn't sure who he was. But outside of having somebody who had his tongue cut out, that was the only thing I got for Spaulding. And then the writers respond to what you're doing. They see the images, and then you respond to them, and it's kind of a weird push me pull you process.
Wow. Well, every season you've been on is a magical ride. And
thank you.
I can keep doing this all day, but I know you guys have questions. Is anyone have the microphones right there? The governor says we have to go back there. I'm sorry, Kaylee.
That way it'll be on the camera. They'll be able to. Otherwise, the audience couldn't hear the microphone.
Go ahead. First of all, what's your name?
I'm Tonio.
Hi, Tonio. Go.
You already touched on this earlier, but as far as like working with like a director and a writer, how much of that is just you? Because personally, I would like to make my own horror movie. Just to say I finished something, not really like to be famous, but like I wanted a something that is mine, but like every individual person means something to the movie. So I would do it in the dynamic of like you're your authentic self playing someone else. So how much of that goes into the process with working with other people, because you have such gravitas, as an actor.
Thank you.
Again, I respond to the material. So I'm a textual actor, meaning I look at the text and what does the text say about the character. So I don't decide what the character is. I look for what it is. And so textual clues can be things like I don't know. He talks about the fact that his wife died in a fire, or his kids died in a fire. Okay, who is that? He got burned in a fire. Okay, what kind of person is that who, in a tragic fire, lost his wife and his kids? What does that do to you? And then in the text, it may say he always wears a black hat and walks with a limp, and you kind of go, okay, what does that do to you? And then I get an episode that I realize he lives alone in a small, lousy apartment. So you start to put together clues that lead you to the character. That's just the way I've always been. And not all actors do that. Some actors come from a point of view of, what do I want to do? The famous story about, who Steve McQueen is? You probably don't know. I mean, the actor Steve McQueen.
Please know who Steve McQueen is.
He'd read a script and he would kind of go, no, Steve McQueen doesn't say that. Steve McQueen would say this. And so Steve McQueen was like an outside brand that even the guy who was Steve McQueen was talking about over here. Like, no, Steve McQueen can't do that. So Tom Cruise is that kind of actor. Tom Cruise is basically the same character every single time, and he brings his charisma to that, and he makes the character be him. Right. So as a filmmaker, if you're making a film, it's up to you to decide, are you going to look at an actor, you're going to look at her, and you kind of go, they're both going to have a movie, and you let them bring their natural qualities, or you tell them what they're going to be. And you say, no, you're the mom, and you're not the mom. You're a long-lost friend, and you're actually her jailer, and she doesn't know that because she's insane. So you give them just enough, and they kind of go, oh, you know what I mean? So as a creator, from my point of view, the more specific you are, the more you're going to get your vision. You're going to actually be able to see what you wanted to have realized.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tony, and good luck on your film career.
Hire me.
Yeah, when you hit it big, hire this man right there as your first hire.
Please.
Hey, what's your name?
Kayla.
Hey, Kayla.
Hi. So my question actually, I'm from Mississippi, so
welcome.
So Russell, kind of when I got into True Blood and I saw you were, Russell was over there representing Mississippi.
Totally.
I was kind of like, I can dig it, even though he's bad. What was that like for you, working with the actors, knowing your character was just going to be this asshole towards them? I'm sorry, but knowing that and how they reacted, like, it's kind of a two-part question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So what was that like for you?
Well, I've never played an asshole in my life.
Still hasn't.
I haven't. Unfortunately, human beings are limited and not worth being alive. And so when I needed to eat, I ate them. And when they're in my way, I killed them. It's not my problem that they're limited and, and weak. And at one point deep in the season, I realized that, Russell's backstory is very, very intense. That he was a hyper-ecologist. I mean, Russell worshipped trees. That was trees and crows. Those were his things. Those were his totems. And for him, humankind are a scourge on the earth. They are obliterating his gods, the trees on the earth. And so he had no problem disposing of them because they were harmful. So from a point of view of if I'm a tree warrior and I'm protecting trees, am I an asshole or am I a hero?
And that's where...
and every character, by the way, no character thinks they're wrong.
No.
Donald Trump, who I don't like, doesn't think he's wrong. He thinks that he's correct. And he really does, and he sells his version of reality again and again and again. But you could not tell that man that he's out of his mind because he wouldn't buy that. And that anyone is like that. You have your point of view, and you have your agenda, what you want to do, and anybody who doesn't conform to that is your enemy. And so like that.
Yeah. I never saw Russell as a bad guy. I always just saw him as a guy
he
who had an
was
agenda.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
But he was pretty awful.
He was bad
I mean,
for the right
as an outsider,
reasons.
I admit that. He was pretty awful. Good awful.
Yeah,
but
He
you
was
want
bad for the right reasons.
You want a worthwhile villain. He was a villain. I hate that word, but you want a worthwhile adversary. You don't want somebody who's easily defeated.
No.
I mean, Marianne in season 2, I thought was almost too powerful because you were like, wait a minute. No one seemed to be able to do anything with her, and I was like, well, this is no fun. She has too much power. Russell was vulnerable, and Russell was also very, very emotional. Yeah. And so unlike, early on, they were talking about vampires can't touch or hug, and I was like, oh, fuck that. I was like, I'm not doing that. And because he was a very emotional being, a very, he loved Halibut, he wept, he reacted, and that makes it more complicated for a viewer to deal with him.
Exactly. Absolutely. So the second part of my question is, it leads on to because you said that was he really an asshole? If you could have him sitting next to you right now and
he would kill me.
Yeah, okay.
It was both.
Hold on. And he was willing to behave, and he said you could ask me one question or tell me I can take one path. What path would you have him take?
Him?
Yeah.
What would you tell
Well, I'd have him live for one thing. Stay away from Eric.
Yes.
Stay away from fairies.
Definitely.
Fairies aren't worth it.
Never.
It's a short-term fix. Eat something else.
So that's what you would tell him?
Sure. Stay away from fairies.
Yeah, and that's like regular advice anyway. Just stay
away
in your everyday life. Just stay away from it. Thank you, Kayla. I love your answer. Hey, what's your name?
I'm Nikki. Hi.
Hi, Nikki.
Hey, did you work there?
I know Nikki.
Yeah, now. We met earlier.
I don't remember that, but go ahead.
So the group I'm in, I asked them what question we should ask. They want to know, are you going to be in American Horror Stories or the new season of American Horror Story? Or
Thank God no one's recording this, so I can't possibly get into trouble. I shot an American Horror Stories, so I did the first episode of the second season. We just wrapped. I don't know when it comes out. I think it's on Hulu. I don't know. And that one, I can't say anything about it except to say that I play a character in that who is linked to another season. That's all I can say. Can I say that? I can say that. Yep. I can say that.
That's, it's all,
no more specific. And as to the other question, I have no idea.
okay.
They are notoriously secretive about when we get hired. We don't know. I'm available. I'm going to go back home to Paris, and I will just, wait for a phone call.
Yes. Okay.
Awesome.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. I love that outfit.
Thank you.
I love the Rick and Merlots.
Russell was here.
Merlots.
I had to wear my Merlots off.
Merlots.
Perfect.
Have a good
Love my
one.
Merlots.
Favorite spot I wanted to be. Yes. Hi, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Karma.
Hi,
Hi, Karma.
Wow.
Karma with a K or Karma with a C?
K.
Okay.
Wow, nice.
Okay. Love it. I'm not going to make a joke. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. So when I know that you're going to be in anything, I'll watch anything that you're in.
That's very nice of
Exactly
you.
what I think. Yes.
Anything. And so my question is, which of your performances has left a lasting mark on you?
Interesting. When you create a character over a long time, sometimes there's a physical component to a character, and you might have a new gesture. I did Mercutio, Romeo and Juliet years ago, which is a great character, and I developed a weird this gesture, which is just his mind. He's always sort of like, he's a really fast thinker. He dies in Act 3. Shakespeare killed him because he's such a great character that if he kept him around, he would pervert the play. It would have changed the shape of the play, so he had to get rid of him. Maybe he got rid of him because the actor playing Mercutio played something else. You never know with Shakespeare. But anyway, so that stuck around for a while. I played a character called Richard Hauptmann, who was the Lindbergh kidnapper. I did a play about Hauptmann for years, and there were things about that character that kind of stayed with me. There are things that I found for Liz that I found for her that are now kind of part of my vocabulary that wasn't in my vocabulary before. So every character, if you work at it and if you're pushing yourself, will make you do something out of your comfort zone, and then you suddenly have a new thing. You have a new tool. And so I have a lot of that, a lot of residual stuff in my characters. And in fact, I was doing Roanoke, which is such a weird season, after a hotel, and I had to make a drink for somebody. Is my character, this big bearded weird guy living in the basement, and I had a line about whiskey, and so I'm talking, and I was like, whiskey? I was like, oh my God, no, that's Liz. He would never do that. And I couldn't stop doing it. And I was like, I have to stop doing this. And I had to really start to just stop myself and kind of go, how would I do this? And I had to stand up and pour. I couldn't get her out of my mind because she was always pouring drinks. And I got so used to her and drinks. So sometimes it works against you.
That's awesome.
See, that's
I gotta
why
look
he's
for
always...
some of your stage work footage
Say?
somewhere. Yeah, some of your stage.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, well, it's illegal. They can't tape
somebody
it.
out there.
But there is footage of Assassins. I did a musical called Assassins, and someone taped a bunch of that. I taped a version of an Iliad, which is a play I wrote. My co-writer Lisa and I wrote together, and I do that. It's a one-man show about Homer's Iliad, and I perform that a bunch of places, and we did it for PBS, and we can't show it because all kinds of weird legal reasons. However, I think there may be bits and pieces of it snatched on the internet
look for
somewhere.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's always something around somewhere.
Yeah, you can go to the internet for anything. Thank you for your question. And we were just talking about stay away from fairies, and a fairy just walked in.
No, we already talked about it. I met her earlier, and I already assured her I wouldn't touch her.
Excellent. Yeah, you're beautiful. Okay. You too, sir. You're beautiful also.
I'm Mo.
Okay. Hi, Mo.
How are you?
Hey, Mo.
And
You were sitting over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all know the bad guys are always the most compelling characters, and
Yeah.
you play them fantastically.
Thank you.
And I was just wondering if there was a type of villainous character, a personality type that you would gravitate toward.
I tell you what I won't play, because I've had this. I won't play anyone who is sort of just mindlessly violent, because I don't like that. So I actually don't like the Saw movies, because I just don't like it. I need to have plot. I need to have there's got to be a reason.
So you have the psychological
Something. There has to be some motivation. Just violence. I can't do it for violence and violence. So I would say no to a part. In fact, I did say no to a part. There was a part that wanted me to play some rich guy who was torturing people, and I was like, why? What's his reason? And they didn't have a reason, and I was like, no, because it's just violence for violence sake, and violence is not good, but if it's telling the story and there's some sort of attachment to some kind of reason, it feels like it is compelling. if it's just violence because you want to have a violent show, that to me it's not attractive to me.
It'd be less of a character and more of a weapon.
But I'll play anyone, and some of my favorite characters are characters that are the farthest away from me. I played a character named John Briggs in a movie called Milk.
Yes.
Sean Penn played Harvey Milk in that. And, I'm openly gay, been gay since I was 5 years old. And this character, John Briggs, was an activist working against gay people. He tried to get gay people fired from becoming teachers. He was a well-known, right-wing figure who was against gay people. He was an amazing character, And when I played him, my job is to play him. My job is not to judge him. My job is not to make fun of him. My job is to play him accurately. And so I did a lot of research. I did a lot of work on who he was, where he came from. Why is he doing this? So I came up with the idea that he's got to have a good motivation, which is that he honestly believes that these people are dangerous. And he honestly believes that he's protecting kids in schools. And he honestly believes that if he doesn't do it, that there's going to be a tragedy. And when I can do that, then I'm behind that character, and I can play him honestly. Because I'm not going to play a character dishonestly, because it's not worth it. Why do that? And then I become a worthy adversary for the other actor. Sean Penn needs to have, in that situation, an actor who is bringing something, and it's not just like, I don't know, a cartoon. Right. And I loved playing that character. He was a very interesting man, I thought.
Thank you. It's great. Thank you, Mo. I think that's why we all gravitate towards your characters, because every single character you play has an agenda, whether it's for good purpose or bad. Because that's why I never saw Russell as a bad guy, because he had an agenda. In his mind, what he was doing was, making the world safe for his kind. He's looking out for vampires.
It's also good writing, because without good writing, we can't do our jobs well. We have to have complicated scripts to make them complicated.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Kayla. I know you're used to having more than one question at a time, but by the old clock on the wall, yes, I know Kayla very well, because Kayla is a huge fan of yours. She was the first one here waiting for you to talk, and she was here yesterday for Michael Rooker, asked him 5 questions, but we're on a time crunch, and by the old clock on the wall, and by the wall I mean our phones, it is 2 o'clock. I'm sorry you have to go.
But come to my table and ask.
Come to his table and ask. You're already in each other's lives, so he's not going to turn you away. So whatever question you were going to ask in that microphone, he will answer for you at his table. Okay. In the meantime, did I say thank you enough?
Do one more?
Do one more? Do you have time for one more?
One more for him, and then you come to my table.
Yes, you have
Yes, you have to come to my table.
Okay. It's free. You just walk down.
You're coming to find me, yeah.
Yeah, and find me.
I'll let him ask one more question, because
Go ahead, sir. What's your name?
Hey, I'm Chris.
Hey,
Chris.
I'm not into horror movies at all, but
do you like The Walking Dead?
well, but I did like you in The Proposal.
I love that movie.
And so now I want to ask you about how was it working with Ryan Reynolds?
Great.
Now for me that was kind of a comedy.
Yeah.
And so I thought, for you and stuff, I thought that was, it's just a really good movie. I liked it.
That was a great cast. Sandra Bullock does her own stunts. I'm so impressed with her. She's an amazing person. Ryan is truly hilarious and truly a sweet human being. I got to work with Betty White. Come on, Betty White. Yeah. I got to share a ride with Betty White. She told me she has a martini and a Cobb salad every night after work. And I don't drink, and I was like, you know what? I'll have the Cobb salad. I'll have a Diet Coke and a Cobb salad. Wow. Mary Steenburgen was in that cast. Craig T. Nelson, who was lovely. Had a great time with him. I met one of my dear friends, Oscar Nunez, on that cast, and we've stayed really, really good friends. That was a great experience for me. I just made a lot of friends and had a fun time doing it, and had really fun. And the director was amazing.
It's a really good movie. I really liked it. So
it's a great movie. People watch that movie again and again and again and again and again, which I think is great. Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here.
I
hope you had a good con.
And what can we see you in next? What's the next time?
You know what? I just finished The Nevers. Nevers, we shot 6 episodes before COVID, which are on HBO, and then we just finished the last 6 episodes. It's a great show, and it's only gotten better in the last 6 episodes. And I play I'm not a villain. I play a scientist who is, he's got his own agenda.
Knew it.
He digs in people's brains to find things, but come on. Who doesn't?
Who hasn't? Come on, give him a guy a break. Thank you. Mr. Denis O'Hare, everyone. Give him a round of applause. Thank you guys so much. Go see him at his table.
Hi, this is Maisie Richardson-Sellers, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be a legend and hit that like button, and most importantly, have fun and follow your fandom.